we're going to get started here. There's some folks going around the lobby. They can catch up to us. Good evening. I'm Dan McKinley. I'm the chair of the Rochester Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm going to be the moderator for our meeting tonight. Our objective tonight is to have a fair and orderly opportunity for community members to share information and perspectives on the proposed cell tower project at 1030 Route 100. We believe there would be quite a few folks that wanted to speak about this project, so we formatted the meeting to make certain that everyone has a chance to speak at least once. As with town meetings, we're going to use Robert's Rules of Order to keep us orderly. The meeting will go as late as 8:30, time permitting. Someone who wishes to speak a second time may do so after everyone else has had a chance to speak. Tonight, representing the Planning Commission is myself, Sandy Haas, Mary Fatini, Dave Curtis, and we'll know if Christine is zooming in, but representing the Selectboard is Pat Harvey, Mike Tinsel, and Chad Richardson. Also guests tonight, we have we have James Porter on Zoom. He is with the Vermont Department of Public Service, has helped us understand the 248A process for telecommunications with the Public Utilities Commission. Also on Zoom likely is Brian Kovalek from the Two Rivers Outreach Regional Planning Commission. He manages cell tower projects for the Regional Planning Commission. And then also we have Francis Parisi from Vertex Towers LLC down here. If there are technical questions, we will call on him to answer those. Please address your comments, questions to the moderator. If there are technical questions in any aspect, I will refer to whoever is the best person to answer them. I won't have all the answers myself. This meeting is also being conducted by Zoom, so it's important that those Zoom people are able to hear us. If you wish to speak, raise your hand. Dave Curtis will be running the mic, walking the mic around, he says. So wait for the mic is there. Tell us your name, and please wait and speak into the microphone. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Drew over here has volunteered to be our timekeeper. He'll flash a yellow card when you have a minute left, if you're going into your 5 minutes, and then he'll do a red card when your time is up. And we ask you to please respect that timekeeper so that everyone gets any chance to speak. Please do not interrupt each other. Let everyone have their say, have their time to speak. And please, no personal attacks. It's fine to disagree with someone's ideas or their position, but not please attack their character or motives. Vertex and Verizon are the proponents for the project. We first learned of the project in June 2024. Since that time, community members have had 3 opportunities to hear detailed presentations from Vertex. We have not asked Vertex to repeat that presentation because tonight is about hearing from our community members. We did, however, offer them a table to present some visual displays which they have out in the lobby. If you need or want more information about the project, you can find links to it on the town website. And there's also a binder at the town website with all the information we collected about the project. And Mary has those in the back of the room right now if you wanted to jump up and reference anything on that. We're talking about a project at 1030 Route 100. It's a 140-foot tower. We plan to use about 5,000 feet of existing road and make 400 feet of new road. There would be approximately 1.65 acres of temporary disturbance and 0.2 acres of permanent earth disturbance. Tree clearing would include 1.33 acres. All of that would be for the road clearing. There'd be no additional clearing for the power line. All that timber would be hauled off site. Impervious surface at the end of the project would be 1,500 square feet. And these are all numbers from Vertex's October 24 presentation that they provided us with. It's important to note that the town does not grant a permit for cell towers. That's done by the Public Utility Commission through the 248 process. PUC, Public Utilities Commission, considers many elements in deciding to grant or deny a certificate of public good, including undue adverse effects on specific criteria such as aesthetics, historic sites, air and water purity, natural environment, public health and safety, public use and enjoyment of corridor 89, corridor 91, and scenic corridors, and some specific aspects of Act 250. They also look at land conservation measures and town plans and recommendations by municipal legislative bodies and regional planning commissions regarding their town and regional plans. The Rochester town zoning and town plan also speak to telecommunications. Not much in zoning says telecommunications are exempt from zoning except for setbacks that are required 1.5 times the tower height or setbacks are required for in our zoning. The plan speaks to it quite a bit more. We recognize in the plan that the 248 review process looked at environmental, economic, and social impacts, but also talks about substantial deference to town and regional commissions and their plans. Therefore, we put in our plan some elements to consider from the town perspective, and they include preferred locations, prohibited locations, significant areas, natural resource protection, protection for wildlife, and site selection. We have one policy written in the plan under other services that is for policies for the town to participate in PUC process for the telecommunications. So that's some background and history on how we're going to work tonight. I appreciate you all being here participating in this process. We're here to listen to you tonight, the select board and planning commission. So with that, we'll open it up for folks' comments, questions. Lori.
Okay. My name is Lori Kirsch. How's the volume? Good. All good? So I think it's all decided that most of us want good coverage. In our town plan, there was a 2012 survey that resulted in AT&T improvement. In 2018, EC Fiber was improved. Sharon and I, my partner, we moved here partially because of the balance of the good AT&T coverage and EC Fiber, and because there were no cell towers at the time. The great part is, this is not about opinion. My opinion doesn't matter, nobody's opinion matters. This is about the town being able to exercise its voice. We have a town plan, we have a regional plan, and that's what we need to support. This proposed tower violates the town plan and the regional plan. I'm a nerd. I think most people have figured this out by now if they've ever heard me. I used to be an English teacher, so of course I always think of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. If you're familiar with it, how do I love you? Let me count the ways. How does this violate the town plan? Let me count the ways. Dan mentioned the policy in the town plan and listed all the pieces of it. The one thing that we didn't talk about though is the language of it. Section 248A on the telecommunications facilities in the town plan, pages 15 and 16, it says for all telecommunication facilities, the following policies shall apply. Shall is strong language. That removes opinion. Let's go through each one. Step 1 is preferred location on page 15. New telecommunications facilities shall be sited and designed in locations that reinforce the town's traditional patterns of growth of Rochester's compact village center surrounded by a rural countryside, including farm and forest land. The Two Rivers plan says one of the region's principal scenic qualities is its ridge lines and mountainsides. These areas are significant contributors to the rural character of the region. That's on page 199. The tower that's gonna rise 70 feet above the tree line does not support the town's rural countryside. So there's a violation. Number two, prohibited locations, this is page 16. Because of their distinctive natural history or scenic value, telecommunication facility development shall be excluded from the following areas. And it includes rare, threatened, or endangered species habitat or communities. The burden is on Vertex and Verizon to prove its due diligence on NEPA-related topics. And this proposed area is a known deer, bear, and bat wintering area. So Vertex and Verizon need to prove their due diligence on that. Number three, significant areas. This is on pages 16, 63 to 64 from the town plan, and on the Two Rivers plan, pages 200 and 201. All new telecommunications facilities shall be sited and designed to avoid, or if no other reasonable alternative exists, to otherwise minimize or mitigate adverse impacts to the following. List a bunch of stuff, which includes scenic byways. You guys have been here a whole lot longer than I have, so you know this better than I do, but it's scenic Route 100 byway. It was amended in January 21 of 2015, and it was proposed in 2013 as a scenic byway. So it's been around a long time as a scenic byway. The proposed site is part of the scenic byway, and that violates pages 29, 30, page 16, and on Two Rivers, pages 200 and 201. Additionally, pages 63 and 64 list 8 locations under the heading of significant natural and historic areas. That includes the park. Proposed tower will likely be visible for 6+ months of the year. Route 100 White River Corridor, again, going to be visible. Pierce Hall, Rochester Public Library. These are all going to be where the proposed tower is visible. By the way, the recreation is significant revenue stream, which is page 51. Natural resource protection. Page 15, page 16 on Two Rivers, page 200 and 201. Includes the flood and impervious surfaces. Protection of wildlife, page 60. Again, this is flora, fauna, deer wintering, pages 60 and 61. Again, the burden is on Vertex to prove its due diligence. Site selection, page 16. The town needs to be concerned about the steep grade, the amount of tree cutting, the splitting of the canopy, which will create more flood hazards, the widening and thickening of the road leading to the proposed site. Again, this is on the scenic byway. One of the main points is co-location is required where possible. That's Two Rivers on page 201. It's also part of the Vermont statutes. We know that there's a landline supplied by several carriers. That's on page 35 of the town plan. Internet, page 198 and page 35. There's Wi-Fi zones. We have AT&T in the Federated Church steeple. It's in Vertex's best interest to build. It's not in the town's plan to build.
Thank you for keeping on time. I appreciate it. Anyone else? Jake had his hand up first. Yep.
Hi, whoa, I'm Jake Wildwood. I'm the closest neighbor to this proposed tower, and I represent myself, my mother who's moving up here, my wife, 2 kids, and 7 employees at our shop. We don't want the tower, various reasons. There are known and unknown health impacts. We don't want building up behind us, several hundred feet behind our place. This could affect flooding and all sorts of other things. Everybody else knows more about this because I've worked the whole day. I'm exhausted. I'm kind of pissed off that I have to be here. But basically, we just don't want this. We thought this was done last year. We thought everybody decided to go home and not do this, and I don't even know why we're here again. We don't need it. We have cell coverage in town. It's not perfect, but this isn't perfect either. It's like, what, 3 miles up and down the route? What's the point? To have a big old tower on top of the hill just so we can have some more competitors for AT&T? Who cares? Maybe they can talk to AT&T and bump some more signal in there. I don't think this, and that's all I gotta say.
Justin?
Yes,
Yeah.
Justin.
Well, Justice, so I did a quick question, Chair, about these are technical questions that don't necessarily go to my time, that I was hoping Vertex might be able to provide a quick answer and not take my 5 minutes, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna give you 5 minutes. So
Okay, well, no, we can do it.
We'll include his answer.
Yeah, if,
Go ahead.
yeah, for Francis' answer, we can take it now or later, but, just a question for the maps that are available on the website. Thank you very much. Just want to confirm that those maps convey coverage areas for the 140-foot tower and not the 175-foot tower. Okay, thank you, Francis. So the maps that are available apparently convey the shorter 140-foot tower. So I think we all agree on that. And then another technical question, on site, is there any backup, will there be any backup power supply in the tower, or is it merely provide power via a landline?
Yeah, go ahead. To back up power at the site.
The equipment will have backup batteries that will last anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. And then there will be a generator on the site for long-term. Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I asked that question about backup power simply because for residents of areas like out Route 73, like West Rochester, while we do have excellent coverage from outfits like EC Fiber or Comcast or whatever we call it now, and our friends at GMP did provide power out there, we lose trees and we lose power frequently. So that's something to consider, that to have a transmission-based way of communication, like I say landline-based communication. Personally, I'm for the tower out in West Rochester. To the point of recreation, I would say that as just an example, the Grand Fondo was it last week, I believe. Several people from out of town, my brother included, who's over in Middlebury, kind of shocked that there's no coverage for Verizon in town. Maybe that discourages some tourism. Maybe that discourages some revenue, which doesn't affect my life personally, but certainly can present a big factor for our town. My next question would be, or my next point would be, to those that are concerned about radiation. Obviously, it's going to go from one area to another. Or I would think that someone deeply concerned about radiation at the 4th of July parade, I'd personally rather have a tower a mile away than 100 feet. This tower might provide opportunities that unfortunately can't be, jammed into or onto a steeple in town. But future proofing, future technologies. I'm not a futurist, so can't really comment on that. But having a tower a little higher could help communications long term. And then lastly, I think the most important thing is the public safety factor. Not having cell coverage out in areas like Bingo, not having communications that are reliable for public safety partners, our awesome friends and neighbors of the Rochester Volunteer Fire Department, who, it'd be great if they had cell coverage out Bingo, out 73, up the Brandon Gap. But at the end of the day, I think enhanced coverage for the area kind of goes back. I'll admit this is a little bit heartstring, but imagine a young mother in the middle of the night in the snowstorm with two toddler kids who crashes the car or what have you, and has to make a selfish choice. Hey, do I take one kid or the other? I admit this is quite extreme, but people who run into some sort of problem in the middle of the night, giving a little bit extra communication to areas like West Rochester, Gap, simply West Hill, areas south of town. We all don't live in town. And having enhanced communications, I think benefits the community as a whole. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And
Thanks a lot. So, there's a lot to talk about. I think Lori laid it out really well. I think the project's a non-starter simply because of what the town has agreed to together as our plan, have a great plan. It actually has a specific telecommunications facilities section, which lays out what's needed, what the town requires of the corporations coming in. And most of that is not met by this proposal. But I'll just point you on to safety, because people love to bring up safety, like coverage safety. I've been reading about distracted driving for the last few years as someone who has a hard time not looking at my phone when I'm in the car, and I do my best. It's an epidemic. It's actually 10 to 15% of all fatalities are from distracted driving. Most of that from looking at a phone. 4,000 people, depending on which data you look at, 4,000 people die a year because of cell phone coverage, because they're looking at their phone. They're not looking at their phone when they don't have coverage. So when we think of safety, we equivocate automatically coverage, aha, safety. Well, yeah, once someone's in your, comes headline right into you in your lane because they're looking down at their notification they just got because they have coverage, then yeah, if you're in a situation where you can make a call for EMS, that's great. But actually, the data is very clear about the danger of distracted driving and the relationship between that and cell phone coverage. It's nebulous as to what safety factor there is, because if in the hypothetical I do get into trouble, then I can call. That data is not actually very clear. What's also very clear is the flooded impact. We're acutely affected by floods in this part of the world, as we all know who've been here for a while. And I have to correct something that Dan, you introduced us with, was a straight untruth, that 1,500 square feet of impervious surface would be the result of improving a mile of new roadway and putting up a tower twice the size of any tree up there, with getting concrete trucks up there and heavy equipment for many months. Any of us who've seen construction in the woods know that that's not the case. And as someone who makes a living as a landscape architect and land planner, I can tell you from various technical reasons, that's definitely not the case. This creates an enormous conveyance in the woods, up to 30% grade. 30% grade of preserved forest. That's the grade at which the state doesn't even want you to log, even if you're in current use, because it's so steep. I've reviewed the engineering plans for this, and they're pushing about 28, 29% grade on the engineering grading profile of the roadway. That's an estimate, so there's a good chance they will be over 30% in parts of the roadway. That creates flashier floodplains, flashier river action, fluvial action, because of steep conveyances that are new, that are not nearly as good at permeating stormwater, slowing, spreading, and sinking stormwater as forest that hasn't had concrete trucks driving up it and all of the improvements needed to make that happen for months on end. Those don't just heal themselves. They don't just become non-conveyances. This is why we see landslides and slumps at Killington, and we see much flashier river and creek behavior in ski areas, because they have active steep access ways used. That's what this will be, a new one in our community. So everything from Emerson on down will behave worse in a flood because of this new and more intense conveyance. That's not conjecture. That's just the reality of a project like this. I don't have any dog in this fight. I won't see the tower and I'm a legal standing. It's not going to reduce my property value because I'll be looking at it. But I care about our watershed. I care about our community. And I care about the precedent of one citizen in the town profiting greatly. We don't know what it is. It's confidential, but it's probably tens of thousands of dollars, while the rest of us live with that private business deal. That sets up a precedent that is not only counter to our town plan, it's really counter to basic neighborliness as well. Thanks a lot.
Done. Anything on Zoom, Sandy?
No, not yet.
Curious, how many people do we have on Zoom?
About a dozen.
About a dozen. Yes. Yeah.
I'm Steve Hoffman, I live in Rochester. I just want to say upfront that I am adamantly opposed to this project for a multitude of reasons. You're not going to hear any discussions about this subject on TV or mainstream news, or even from politicians, including those in Vermont. We all know that large, powerful corporations and industries have a lot of money, and their focus is to make more, not what's best for the people. It is a fact that these efforts to construct cell towers and all other wireless related devices are industry driven. They do not originate from a grassroots groundswell asking for these things or from any legitimate need. The telecom industry, like all for-profit companies, first sells their manufactured ideas through ads and lobbying that people need these things. Then they bribe the landowners with money and public officials at every level with a story that it's for the greater good. Then they'll make sure that the regulations are passed that restrict local control and the will of the people. And so far, the FCC, which is supposed to regulate them, has been no more than a revolving door for this industry. The telecom industry has firm control over the media that they have to share mostly with the pharmaceutical industry. This is why you never hear anything negative about these industries or their products, and why you only hear hype and promises, which you should know by now, are only hype and promises, not truths. If you think they're doing this because it's in our best interest, think again. I can't imagine anyone wanting to permanently scar the beauty of our community with an unnecessary and ugly steel tower. I hope the town boards will halt this process while they can, and as I think they should. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve.
Hi, I'm Deb Moore, PhD, my field is environmental health, which is concerned with bioaccumulative, low-level toxins in the environment and how they can impact human health and all life on the planet. I'm here to discuss a giant element that people might wonder about private, but it's never really discussed in any mainstream media or any level of government. This element is a truth that needs to be acknowledged and faced. The work I've been doing for decades regularly puts me into contact with health affected people whose lives have been seriously compromised by exposure to various toxins, some of these being chemicals from various sources, some from pharmaceuticals, and some from electromagnetic fields or EMS. Human-created EMS are emitted from every electronic device, and this has been happening for a century, starting with the first electric wire on pole. The last several decades, we are all being exposed to an enormous amount of EMS in various forms, wireless radiation coming from many sources, including cell phones, satellites, smart meters, appliances, GPS, and yes, cell phone towers. And that's right, while you can't see or smell or taste it, human-created wireless radiation is indeed an insidious toxin in our environment that can totally alter one's life. The condition that affected people have is called elective sensitivity, or EHS. It is much more common than you probably think. In fact, the health of everyone who has regular exposure to EMS, which most of us, is already compromised by this radiation. But for most, so far, the effects are minimal, so unknown, or are attributed to something else. Until we gradually reach an EHS threshold that makes living with working here and wireless radiation, and oftentimes other sources of electricity and funding. Oh, is that better? Okay, I heard a button. Okay, bad one time. In fact, the health of everyone who has regular exposure to EMS did I say that already? Is already compromised by this radiation. But so far, the effects are minimal, they go unnoticed, or are attributed to something else until it gradually reaches an EHS threshold that makes living with or being near any wireless radiation, oftentimes other sources of electricity impossible. I think I said that. In spite of the ridicule from naysayers, this is a real condition, and the number of people who have this condition is growing exponentially. The range of symptoms is broad, as most are neurologically related and include severe chronic insomnia, constant headaches, nausea, and many other debilitating effects. There are fewer and fewer places on the planet that are without exposure, and with the latest satellite innovation, soon there will be no place at all to escape from this hell. At the moment, Rochester is among very few places that are relatively free from this intense exposure, especially if you don't live or work right near the church in the middle of the high-speed AT&T apparatus that is providing adequate for the whole town. EMS are finally beginning to be recognized for much of the insect and pollinator apocalypse that is taking place worldwide, and it is undoubtedly at least partly responsible for the degradation of animals and plants in the remaining wild. So why is it that this is not a crisis that you hear about on the local or national news station, or even very much on social media, or never discussed as a problem in any government body? Well, who do you think literally owns the media in this country? And do you think the government is impervious to capture by the corporate interest? Think about that.
1 minute, Deb.
I lost a little bit there. Why has the FCC, who ostensibly regulates wireless development, not changed their safety standards one iota since 1996, which was 30 years ago, even after they reviewed them a few years ago, and even after the wireless world and infrastructures have been expanding by orders of magnitude since then? In fact, in 2021, the Federal District Court of Appeals ordered the FCC to read and address thousands of pages of peer-reviewed science on the health effects of wireless radiation that had been sent to them by the organization that sued them, and to then update their safety standards accordingly. 4 years later, they have still not complied. The idea of health and environmental effects of EMS is not conspiracy theory. This is plainly and simply and obviously what is actually going on. This Verizon tower was not invited by our town. This is yet another case of industry telling us what is good for us. No matter what they might say, it is not safe. The safety argument they use is quickly extinguished by the many thousands of peer-reviewed studies that show how unsafe such an installation
Okay, we're
is.
gonna have to stop it there. I think we'll have,
I lost a little bit.
yeah, well, I think we'll have time for a second to finish up on the second round after everyone's had their chance. Pardon? How much time does you have left?
That would be in 5 minutes. You did lose a couple seconds in there.
How'd you lose a couple seconds?
The mic was going out.
Okay, take 30 seconds, Deb.
As are the many thousands of people who are adversely affected by wireless radiation and cancer. We want to discover how badly this has affected our health and environment after this ugly BMS is in place and running. It is folly to risk the health and well-being of residents of Rochester, disrupt the peace of a local ecosystem, and degrade and erode an entire hill in town, or what? Ostensibly for the convenience of unnecessary self-service for visitors to the town board. Please follow the wisdom of the Rochester Town Plan and just say no. Thank you.
And we have a hand raised in the Zoom.
Okay, Sharon, you're on.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Sharon Solomon. My partner Lori and I moved here in January 2024. Prior to purchasing our home, we contacted Dan McKinley, hi Dan, with the Rochester Planning Commission in December 2023. We specifically asked him if there were any cell towers being proposed in the area because of my health issues. We were moving solely because of my debilitating health issues when I'm around these technologies. At that time, in December 2023, Dan stated that a cell tower hadn't been mentioned in years, and there was nothing he'd heard about anything coming into the area. I will state again that we specifically chose Rochester because there was no cell tower. People who live in Rochester have solid cellular coverage with AT&T, even outside of the town, fiber optic coverage, etc., without a tower. That shows that Verizon could also provide cell service without a tower. Think of this proposed tower and its giant cellular panels for what they actually are. See them as they truly are. This proposed tower would be like having a factory smokestack that is pumping out toxic smoke 24 hours a day without end for decades. The only difference is that with a cell tower, you can't see the continual toxic pollution. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. This type of pollution affects everyone. Some just feel the deleterious health effects faster than others. It is not okay to pollute our entire area. There's no reason to allow the construction of this proposed tower. If Verizon wants to provide cell service to Rochester, it can do so without a tower, just like AT&T does. I have two requests to make of the Select Board and the Planning Commission. The first request, I would like the Planning Commission and the Select Board to address with Verizon, not Vertex, the tower company, but with Verizon, the cellular provider seeking to enter Rochester. Please upload the following question. What, if any, steps have you, Verizon, taken to co-locate, as required by Vermont statute and by the regional plan as well, in the existing church tower telecom structure in Rochester? The second request is that both the Planning Commission and the Select Board write a letter opposing the proposed tower and upload it to the PUC. As an aside, I've heard industry salesmen say that there's more dangers from the technology in your own home than from cell towers. That's not true. You can choose what exposure you have in your own home. I don't use a cell phone, I can't use a cell phone. I don't use Wi-Fi, I can't use Wi-Fi. We don't have cell phones in our home, we don't have Wi-Fi in our home, we don't have Bluetooth in our home because they're debilitating and detrimental to my health. I only had this issue for the last 2 years. That's why we came up here. We came to Rochester, Vermont, because it's beautiful, it's relatively clear of this crap, and because I can kind of live a normal life as long as I'm not around cell phones. The effects are real, they're neurological, they happen over time. It starts with dizziness and vertigo. It moves to intense chest pain and throat pain, agitation, shooting electrical pains throughout your body. I experience it when I'm around this crap. I know what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm getting my heart defibrillated when people connect to these towers. Heart palpitations, inability to think or process information. When I'm not around this stuff, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. You wouldn't know anything's wrong with me. The moment I'm around this stuff, it starts. So it is real. It took me a while to figure out what the hell it was, and we got the hell out because we had to get out. Please do not pollute another state with this crap. Vermont's one of the few places that you can still walk around somewhat unaffected by this stuff. It's only going to get worse if you keep letting the towers go up. There's no reason to let them go up. Verizon can provide service with an antenna and with the local boxes that are already around. AT&T does it. That's all I have to say.
Yes, sir.
I'm Larry from Hollow Road. I just have one major question, is how will this decision be made? This gonna be a town referendum, or is it just gonna be the select board that makes the final decision? It's unclear to me how that happened.
It's not gonna be town referendum, we do not plan a town vote on this. It will be the planning commission, I believe, it's a select board decision representing the town.
Well, that's the decision on, but he's asking who will decide about the tower? That's the public utility
Oh,
commission.
well, sorry, I thought you were asking how the town is gonna decide what to send to the PUC. The Public Utility Commission will decide.
Based on what?
Yeah, based on the criteria that they're required. Based on the criteria they're required to evaluate in the 240A process. And they also are required to listen to town and regional commission.
Okay, so there's no listing of town. That just these sections. Right? These sections are, they're discursive. So, how do you monitor the town sentiment? Besides these sessions. I mean, based on these sessions, I can tell that very few people want this. Are you getting that message?
We're getting a message that people that are here tonight seem to be 6-1 against this project. We will do an additional evaluation based on the town plan, which we've heard about and talked about tonight, and that will be evaluated.
Okay, so I saw that on this feedback, we've had several sessions like this. Can you tell us what your assessment was during those other sessions as far as pro and con?
Well, I would say it was largely against the project.
Great. Well, I want to hear.
Alvina?
Yeah, I think I can speak loud enough.
I don't know, you won't be able to, because the Zoom folks won't hear you.
Okay, I'm Alvina Harvey. I am the neighbor to the cell tower. And this reference to the previous gentleman's comment, why can we not have a special vote for the town to vote for or against this project? And that would guide both the planning commission and the select board as to the commitment of the town for this project. And, I think we get very good feedback from this. There could be a totally equitable opportunity for everybody to respond. And hopefully, guidance would be taken from the results. We'll get.
And so, Sandy, is James Porter on?
No, we haven't seen him tonight. We do have two rivers. I don't know.
No one claiming public service?
Not according to the way they've entered. There are a couple of people who have only first names, but I think it would show the department and he's not on.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Tara Murray, 64 State Garage Road. Hope you can hear me. I have a mask on. I apologize. I'm very tired of family. I just wanted to say something because Rochester is very near and dear to my heart, so I'm going to cry. I live in the city. I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, 1 mile from Harvard University. I had plenty of access to everything cities provide. Yet my parents got us out of the city. And for years, I spent my teenage years going back and forth between Rochester and Cambridge, Mass. With a family illness, accidents which left me, myself and my twin sisters severely injured, and grandparents that needed our help. My entire family's been in Rochester for 5 years now, solid. And my husband Russ and I were married 2 years ago here in the church. And it took me some years to finally convince Russ to call Rochester our home. And while I can be honest and say the cell phone tower situation wasn't the only reason, it's representation of it. If I wanted 24-hour cell phone coverage, I could go back to the city. I could get 24-hour taxis at my door in 1 minute. I could be 1 minute from a hospital. I could have the police there in 1 second too. And I could have 24-hour pharmacies, 24-hour stores, and cell phones everywhere. That's not why I came to Rochester. I came here because it's a unique place. It's gorgeous. It comes with its beauty and its negatives and positives. And one of the major reasons I'm here is because it's clean, it's healthy, it's vibrant, and it's full of nature. And having a cell phone tower on the ridge is not that. My husband and I just bought a house, which is one of the very closest houses, just a handful others are closer to this proposed project. And I am terrified. I'm older than you might think, and we're in the midst of trying to start a family, and it's a very expensive process at my age. And I've been reading about the health effects, and I am extremely upset about this. I don't know that you can stay there if this goes through. I'm angry about it. It's not necessary, like everybody else says, it violates the town plan. So what I wanted to say quickly is that if you look at, sorry, a lot of the data, Bill Moss, which is a researcher from School of Public Health at UC Berkeley and director of Berkeley Center for Family and Community Health. He was on a quest to discover if cell phone towers and cell phones are unsafe. He said most people don't want to hear about it because it hits close to home. Quote, at the time, I was skeptical that cell phone radiation could be harmful. However, since I was dubious that cell phone radiation could cause cancer, I immersed myself in the literature regarding the biological effects of low-intensity microwave radiation emitted from cell phones and towers and other wireless devices. After reading many toxicology and animal studies that found this radiation could increase oxidative stress, real free radical damage, I became increasingly convinced that we were observing in our human studies was indeed a real risk. I also wanted to say that there are many towns in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, and all over the country that have banned this. Just as an example, Shelburne, Massachusetts has instituted laws that cell phone towers cannot be within 3,000 feet of schools, 1,500 feet from residential zone neighborhoods. Randolph, Massachusetts, has instituted laws too. Bedford, New Hampshire, all over the country. Oklahoma, California. I would suggest that we as a town institute our own laws to protect ourselves and not leave it up to the PUC or anyone else to decide what we want. And I am extremely upset about this because there are 250 scientists who have published over 2,000 papers and letters in professional journals showing that there are dangers, cognitive effects, dizziness, depression, sleep problems, fatigue, skin rashes, cancer, heart disease, nausea, appetite loss, cognitive function problems, and a huge miscarriage rate. Okay, I don't want to be told, oh, well, maybe you're far enough. It's not far enough. It causes problems. We don't need this power, and there's no reason to have it. I wanted to say another thing. In my research, which I didn't have much time to do, I found out the National Association of Firefighters has passed a rule amongst them that they do not allow cell phone towers on firehouses because there is so much cognitive neurological disease that pops up in their firefighters. They actually passed this and they actually had them removed because of it. Don't tell me firefighters aren't for safety, for communication, and for other things, but as a whole, the Firefighters Union and the Firefighters Association of America has banned this from their firehouses. There's countless other stories of what has been done to protect people. And we as Rochester, Vermont can be forward about this. We don't need to put a tower on the edge of our mountain range. It's been seen everywhere. I went to pictures. It was a lot. You couldn't see it from 100. It can be seen from everywhere, including town park, and it is scalding our mountains permanently. Please vote against this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bruce Jones. This is very difficult for me, so I have the greatest respect for Community and Charlie. My wife and I have been out of town for 33 years now. And the reason we came back is because of our love for the area. We decided to settle here. Our family's here for generations. And this is going to greatly impact us. And it's just hard to swallow. Just a little closer, please. And I'd like the town to consider what this town has that brings people here. To try to maintain that. There's a lot of beautiful places in America. And in the world. But this is beautiful here. I'd like to try to keep it that way. Thank you.
Behind Dave.
Hi, I'm Bruce Stanek. I live on North Hollow Road. I am a licensed consulting forester. I work in the area, and I don't know if it's been made aware, but there's a new category in current use program that the state has for landowners in which they can enroll their property into a reserve category if it meets certain eligibility requirements. One of those requirements is the percent slope the property has, and I was looking on the maps, and it appears the area in which the road to the cell tower is going to be built is in an area with over 30% slopes, which makes that property potentially eligible for the reserve category in current use, meaning that it's managed for old growth characteristics and is more of a preserve area than a managed area. And so just by looking at that one metric alone, it makes me wonder if it's appropriate to have a road that will support heavy traffic and all associated sedimentation and erosion risk that's involved in the road like that. So something to think about and to look at this project. Thanks.
Right here, right here.
I am going to read it, and part of my eyes are messed up, so I'm gonna speak to it now.
You just let her know that you need.
John and Murray, Edith, I live at 166 Maple Hill Road. It's a little hard because my twin unknowingly wrote similar things to me. Sorry. I was going to say, I'm not a native Vermonter. I wasn't born here. And I started coming to Rochester 38 years ago, and I never looked back. I left behind the city grid and traded that life for these mountains, unspoiled and green. I traded in corporations and corporate greed for you all, and I was welcomed by so many of you. Pat Harvey, who sold us our houses, and CV Oil Charlie, who we love to call CV Oil Charlie, who rescued us many a time when our heat went out and we had babies. Some of you are lucky enough to have always lived this beautiful small town life. And one of them is our daughter Mariah, who we are now raising near this proposed tower. I don't want to look at this tower every day till we take in the breathtaking beauty of our Green Mountains. And we don't want to have to deal with real, known, and unknown health threats. I don't want tourists and friends who come up Route 100 to see spoiled beauty. It's unspoiled right now, and we want it to stay that way. Lucky for us, there is a town plan. And I think we all here have a responsibility to follow it. There is countless people against this tower who cannot be here today. Some are sick and cannot come. Some are away because it's summertime. Some are caring for their little children at home who need to go to bed. And those little children will inherit this town, these beautiful mountains. Some don't feel comfortable standing up to speak. I'm specifically going to mention Stacey Harvey because she asked me to. She asked me to tell you all that they are opposed to this and she didn't feel comfortable speaking out in front of people in an auditorium. On behalf of the many people, I'm asking kindly the planning board not recommend this tower. To clarify, it's not the planning board side because they make a recommendation. And the PUC to take into consideration our town's vote from the planning board. That's my understanding of it. Kind of frustrating, and I'm taking the sentiment of Jake. Frustrated to come here again. I'm dealing with a very difficult health recovery from operations weeks ago, and I had to rush back to New York and make copies of all sorts of planning plans for the town. And I wish that wasn't necessary. I'm also asking the landowners to please put this aside and stop this, because our town doesn't need this. We want to keep this town beautiful and to be able to look at the green mountains and go up and down 100 like I just did today. I have cell phone service. It's really not an issue. And I think that we all can step aside and realize that we are just fine and we want to keep the landscape like it is and not spoil it. Thank you.
This, lovely, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Russ Jacob. I am actually a proud new owner here in town, a month ago, actually. I am from New Hampshire. I started my career in 1993, right here at Billington, in Vermont, and I made a living for 8 years, traveling around the world, visiting mountains everywhere from New Zealand to all over Europe, the Arctic Circle, etc. I have great appreciation for natural beauty and also the communities I visited. And I've been in some very authoritative places like China, Afghanistan, Turkey, Cambodia, Thailand, with probably the tourists, but not so much on rights of people. We have a great country that we live in, and I already know, which is why I'm here. Rochester is a great town. Sorry, I'm apparently doing this time. I don't know you, sir, but I might just do the math. It's not 6 to 1. I did come in a few minutes late, so maybe I missed 10 people that like the idea. In case anyone's wondering, I'm very against this. I am also a proud next door neighbor to Jake Wildwood. So we're quite close to this tower, and we have some pretty serious concerns about it. I also wanted to point out a couple technical facts that I haven't heard anyone say. So, in the church is an AT&T tower. So who else uses AT&T tower? Anyone? T-Mobile. I'm on T-Mobile. I have the same coverage my wife and her family has, and they're on the other guy's AT&T. So you have AT&T and T-Mobile on the same towers. Everyone knows commercials, Boost by T-Mobile, also on the same towers. That's 3 competitors. Sprint gone because T-Mobile bought them and acquired them. So as far as I know, unless somebody can tell me something else, we're really looking at Verizon as a competitor, or maybe some tiny other carrier that I'm not really aware of, and I don't really care about, frankly, but so, you know, if you're a Verizon person or a devotee and you're under contract, I do have sympathy with you. But for me, and the way I was raised and the way I've learned my life, if there's one person who's having a major problem or says they do, that's good enough for me. And I would not want to impinge on them and their mental well-being, their health well-being. I don't have any doubt that there are problems with the EMF and radiation. And the power generation from something like this. And I also, think we should think more about what Ben talked about with, the erosion in town. When I was on one of my conferences, I spent a lot of time and read through all of Hurricane Irene documents. I read through the last, transcript of a meeting or whatever it was called for this thoroughly. I know erosion's a huge problem and it's actually a little bit of an issue where I am. So, that's why I did a lot of homework on it. And I think anything that makes an erosion highway is not something to be, trivial away with. And just a side note, I've been in 3 avalanches, so, I'm still here. But I do know that you can, have soil and erosion and rock problems. Because, some of the, avalanches I had were all rocks coming down in the snow as well. So, that's what I wanted to say, pass the mic.
I don't know your name. Okay.
So, I mean, I agree with so many people here who, also don't want the cell tower. The process here is what is so stunning to me. I can't believe that we're here. To me, that a predatory corporation could uninvited, and unasked come here and a private landowner make an agreement that affects the entire town. This doesn't even seem like this should be possible. It's shocking to me that this could even happen. You're talking about a cell tower that's gonna emit radiation for many miles, affecting the environment, the people. Living things are electromagnetic. That's why you can get an MRI or G or KG. We're electromagnetics. All life is electromagnetic. So we are affected. How are you gonna assess the environmental health impact of this tower that's emitting radiation 24/7 and you're signing a contract for 50 years? Like, and it's affecting the whole town, but the decision is made. To me, the planning commission and the select board, when Vertec comes, this company should not be able to go with private landlord. That is so unfair to Charlie and his family. That is so unfair. That is not right and it's not fair. They should come to the town and the town should say, this does not meet our plan. Goodbye. And that's why you protect us and all the citizens who pay taxes here. It's shocking to me. You talk about tourists, more tourists come here because of what this place is, because they can unplug. People are plugged in everywhere. They come here to unplug. Okay, so don't talk about tourists. And also, if you're gonna accommodate tourists before you accommodate your own residents or pay taxes, that's ridiculous. And I just can't even believe that we're here having this discussion. The town, the select board and the planning commission to protect us from these people. They should not put the responsibility on Charlie and his family. That's unfair, and this whole situation in the future should be avoided because you protect us first. The citizens of this town never went out to say we want more coverage. The people here are happy with what we have. For the few who aren't, there are other ways. You don't need a huge cell tower that's emitting radiation for miles 24/7 for potentially 50 years. And I do want to know, how are you going to assess the environmental and health impact of this? And who's going to be liable when you see that the impact is detrimental? I want to know the answer to that.
We are not gonna be able to assess the health. Impacts. Yes, we're unable to do that, and that's not something that we have the expertise to do. And the public
So
health
who
commission.
will be affected?
I don't know. I don't know. No, it's a good question for someone who knows about the 284A processes, how our health impacts.
And the environment.
The environmental impacts are gonna be evaluated by us looking at our town plan. And similarly by the Public Utilities Commission.
Beyond that, even the wild.
not just the erosion, but the wildlife. All of it. So and also as Sharon pointed out, when we have control over our communication, because we could turn our Wi-Fi off or not have it in our home or whatever it is to do, it's very different than being outside and having radiation, the EMF emitted 24/7 for however many years this contract is for, and we have no control over. And that the town has to be responsible for saying, we're gonna do this to all of our citizens and in this, whatever, 7-10 mile radius, whatever it is. I think this technology is not wanted. You have what we need. And I think that in the future, it's my hope that when these people come, you just send them away. That you don't have to bother us with them. Because we are protected already. There's public policy that already protects.
We'll address that just real quickly. We don't have the ability to say that cell towers are prohibited in our town. The law won't let us do that. When Verizon, Vertex give notice that they are going to propose a tower in the town, we are notified that the town is, as well as all the neighbors are. We have no say about that application going in. But in our plan, we said that we would engage in the PDP process. So that's also in the plan. So we're doing what the town plan says we're going to do. We have not made any decision on this tower yet. We're here listening to you and your thoughts on this, and then we'll do our due diligence with the town plan. Zoning really won't come into play, but I'm sorry, we're not able to just tell them to go away. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Well. Anyone else? Yes, young lady. Is that Mariah? Is that Mariah?
Hi, my name is Mariah Swedick, and I live on Maple Hill Road. And I just want to say that I'm opposed to the tower because it will give like a lot of bad effects to people and a lot of side effects. So I'm opposed to the tower.
Thank you, Mariah, for sharing your thoughts. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Miss Don Murray, and we live different time in my against like 8 now. Next 5 years. Unfortunately, because I broke my ankle in January 2015, and my doctor said I can't travel, so I was staying here. And then the pandemic hit, and really left this very little. So I turned lemon to difficulty. Anyway, I don't understand why we have to have discussions and why it's against, maybe I don't understand, it's against, plan or not. And I'm very concerned. I don't like thinking of cell tower, but more concerned about radiation. And that is a big concern. And it's not like, there's this down here. It's not just that people in town went out and said, we need a cell phone tower, we need better communication. This is a money-making venture hosted by a company. This is not people having a need for a cell phone tower. This is a business. This is about making money for a company, not people. And I'm very firmly against it. I hope that the planning board, select committee, whoever's in charge of the PSC, can go against this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Right in the middle.
I'm joking, and I don't think we should have cell towers because it causes certain air. Isn't good for our environment. I think it's very bad for health. I don't think it should be cause also that it makes it's bad for the earth. I don't think we should have it because it's bad for the earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes. Any of those that haven't spoken yet? Dave, over the side. Right in front of Julie.
I'm Jean Murray, and I have to speak because everybody in Market has except my daughter. And we started looking for the perfect place. I think it was 40 something years ago. Been 6 years going to New England, looking for the best place. At that time, we wanted to stay from Disney California. I cut out Southern Vermont, Southern New Hampshire, Western Mass. Wasn't anything about Suffolk. We came here, found this place, took us 10 years to actually fit here. Because we had grandparents in Massachusetts who needed help and so forth. So we're here now. I'm a cancer survivor, and I've never even said that before. 10 years ago, I had a big operation. I'm a cancer survivor. I've never spoken about that. I don't feel like it. I just feel like I'm a person. But every hour or two, I suffer. Okay, I don't want that for everybody else in this room, my own children. They want to have children. I'm worried about miscarriages and everything. That woman who spoke on Zoom, I had them out to her. We can't be more, we can't protect ourselves and our family enough. And I'm very interested in what two of these men spoke about the 30-degree slant of the slopes, which somebody has to look into that. And I just, whatever we can do, it'll be too late if it goes up if it's over. So now, thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm taking Murray, live off of Beckenham Road. And I'm totally opposed to this. I think everybody here has spoken super eloquently about it. And by the time we're done, it seems like at least so far, we're probably almost at least like 15-1 against it. And I'm concerned. I've had a question. Is Two Rivers, are they on the meeting yet? Because I'm concerned about our voices being heard by them when the planning board, the select board, and the Two Rivers make a recommendation. You guys are hearing us, and you know, everybody in town was invited to come to this meeting. I'm just concerned. Have they joined the meeting yet? Are they hearing what everybody's saying?
Two Rivers has been on since the beginning, yes.
Oh, they have. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I just want to speak to all the reasons why I'm against it, and just reiterating what other people have said. I speak behalf of my sister and brother-in-law who just bought a house that is at the base of the hill for Jake and for Bonnie, for everybody else who lives in the foothills of the cell phone tower. And again, we don't need it. We all survived Irene. We were here. We were all locked in. We became a tight-knit community. Everybody was helping each other. We were hitchhiking to get to town with our road without. We didn't have communication. We brought ourselves together. We don't need another cell phone. All it is giving out for big business for another competitor. Because this is what Verizon thinks. He's doing a good job. He's a businessman. He's come to where he can get more business, and he's going to try to convert some of us to have Verizon cell phone. We have a carrier. We have enough. There's places on our property we don't have cell phone service. That's fine. That's why I'm here. You know, I travel a lot for work, and I travel up and down Route 100. I travel to southern Vermont up to past Burlington.
and sometimes from Connecticut, New York. Unfortunately, my work, I travel a lot. And it's when I come back to Rochester that I get tears in my eyes. It's why I'm here. It's, if we wanted the cell phone towers, if we wanted the Dollar Generals and the Burger King, we would be going in that direction. But that isn't our direction. It's not part of our town plan. It's not what the people here want. And it's, I think, what, as our town representative, would, I hope, reflect in what is being said. And Stacy, who had to leave, who's fighting cancer now, is strongly against it. It is something that is, again, it's big business. It's not necessary. It's not our town plan. There's health concerns, and erosion and everything else. Super against it, and I hope that everybody will hear our voices. And thank you.
If everyone that wishes to has had their first term will go. Right back there, Dave.
Hello, my name is David Sweetek of Maple Road. I guess my question is just more about the process, to understand how you come to determine if it is against the town plan or not. Like, you just get in a room and then say, hey, is it against the town plan? Like, what? So that, like, that process, because I think, I don't know, we pulled up the town plan pretty easily and saw shall not have communication power on Ridgeline. If there's something else that we're missing there, I mean, normally, why go through all this town meetings and have everyone have to organize and do all these things when we can just look at the town plan that says, can you give your opinion on that?
I don't remember the part that says no cell towers on bridge lines.
Communication power.
Communication towers. Yeah, I don't remember that part being explicit, and I don't remember it saying shall not. There are several parts that I have thought about and looked at, but that's not one of them. I'm not sure where I can find that specific verbiage.
Okay. Well, what verbiage do you think is in there?
The list of sites, that list of criteria that I mentioned, preferred sites, site plans meaning not just evaluating the tower itself, but the road, water quality, structure, just the whole package, not just the tower itself. Wildlife, rare, endangered, threatened species, and the vegetation and cover that is in critical habitats. Those are very specific things that need to be evaluated. It's not that's something that we get from a map from the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Service saying we know about particular endangered species communities in this area.
Okay.
The applicant has to do their due diligence as well. Wetlands are protected. I haven't looked at the wetlands map.
Scenic byway.
Scenic byway is one of those.
Wouldn't this be like, if it's on a ridge, that you can see from Route 100, isn't that scenic byway?
Yeah, that's a scenic, yeah, for sure. For sure. I read through, I'll say I scanned through the scenic byway corridor plan.
Okay.
Nowhere in there was there specifics about cell towers or any prohibitions. You know, that's not what that plan is for. So I don't know how to what to lean on for that. Let's see what other ones. There was wildlife. I think I mentioned that. There are endangered species, site plans, wetlands. There's a couple more.
Okay. So you guys are like, what is the? Can you give me more idea what the process is? Then, or you guys just like get in a room and then you just think about it and say, well, Is it against the town plan or is it for the town plan? Like, what is,
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
You know,
correct.
that's what we've got to do.
Okay.
After listening to you, some things that we've heard tonight, like the 30% slopes.
Yeah.
Co-location requirements.
Yeah.
These are things that we're gonna think about and, yep, get in a room. We're meeting with the select board or attending the select board meeting on, Monday, the 28th to talk about, so how are we gonna do this? You want a recommendation from the planning commission on the plan, and then it's the select board gonna take it from there. So we haven't set that process yet.
okay, okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sandy,
We have Brian Kovacic from True Rivers.
okay.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I can provide a little information about what the process through the Public Utility Commission will look like going forward. There seems to be a lot of questions about how this case will proceed. If you want, I can provide that, or if not, I can sit back.
Yeah, no, that would be helpful. Ryan, thank you.
Okay. So right now, the applicant Vertex has submitted their 60-day advance notice that they're going to file an application that is statutorily required. I think they're still barred for about another week based on when they submitted it from actually submitting the application. After that week has passed, the next week, they will be able to submit their application, which will then begin the proceedings. They also could, have up to the next 4 months to submit the application. You just don't know. But when it begins, the PUC will, really review their documents in detail. They'll also begin a 21-day comment period where individuals can submit comments to the Public Utility Commission about their opinion on the tower or things that they think the Public Utility Commission should consider. The Public Utility Commission is an appointed body. It's appointed by the governor. They are not part of the Public Service Division, who I think was supposed to be here, but they are the ones who will actually review the case. This will go through similar to an Act 250 case. There will be a public hearing. The Select Board and Planning Commission are entitled, or they're given party status to those proceedings, so they can participate in it if they wish. And then there will actually be a scheduled hearing, which will involve, it's a quasi-judicial hearing, so it'll involve everything a trial usually involves. There'll be a discovery phase. The date of the actual hearing, at that, there will actually be a chance for cross-examination where the Select Board or Planning Commission or whoever's participating as a party in those proceedings can cross-examine the other's witnesses and experts. And afterward, then it goes to the Public Utility Commission to actually issue what's called the Certificate of Public Good, or they could deny a Certificate of Public Good if they find that based on all of the different factors considered, a greater public good is served by not issuing that. They will deny a certificate of public good. But that certificate of public good is basically the permit to proceed with developing the tower or site plan. And that can also be conditioned as determined by the Public Utility Commission. One of the things that they will look at automatically is the recommendations within the municipal plan. So those will be very important during those proceedings. They also, if necessary, will reach out to us at the Regional Commission to provide clarity on the policies we have within our regional plan as concerns cell towers. But in a nutshell, that is the process going forward.
Would anyone object to me doing a follow-up question for Brian? Brian and Stan McKinley, could the Regional Planning Commission be a resource for us with your GIS shop in looking at things like wetlands, rare, threatened, endangered species, habitats, etc.?
You don't even need us for that. Actually, that information is available through the A&R Atlas and from Vermont, from A&R's BioFinder. You can find a lot of the information in there. The site plan itself that they've submitted as part of their part of their 60-day advance notice also shows that the access road will cross one wetland, and I can't remember the name of that brook, but it'll also cross that brook. So there'll be some stream crossings. It'll go through, the access road will go through a wetland. The 28.5-degree slope is pretty significant. They're also going to need a stormwater permit from the state because they're creating a lot of impervious surface. there are a lot of things to consider about that. But you can already use the state's tools to locate and see, for instance, that there's 2 endangered bat species that the project site will potentially be within the range of. And it's also within a highest priority forest block. So those are things to flag and consider and bring to the PUC's attention.
Okay, thank you, Brian, that's helpful.
I actually have a follow-up for Brian. Nowhere near the microphone. Oh, there.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're getting the mic.
Brian, I'm a member of the planning commission, it's Mary Fertini. Is it a 21-day public comment period or a 30-day public comment period?
It's a 21-day public comment period after the application is submitted. They will also notify the planning commission when the application is submitted.
Thank you, Brian.
I have someone with a second round of questions, so I don't know if we're there yet.
Has everyone had a chance to speak that wants to?
Mine's
We'll go
very
to-
short.
We'll go to the second round.
Okay, Sharon
And then
Solomon.
we'll come-
Go ahead, Sharon.
Hi, I just wanted to mention that we were told by somebody with the state before that it used to be 21 days and now it's 30, so that might be something just to check online with the PUC. That's all.
Yeah, I can look into that.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. Justin,
Yeah.
round 2.
Yeah, I don't keep it brief, so I've got to get up to the limit and get to work. Just as a response, 3 brief things. I've heard several times this evening about people thinking that the whole town has coverage. That's factually incorrect, dramatically incorrect. And there's over 400 structures in this town that do not have coverage through the existing tower. Not to say yay or nay, but let's just get our facts right on who does and does not have coverage. Follow up on that. Obviously super welcome to have all our great new residents to the town. It's fantastic, but how soon we forget in 2011, when pretty much all of the residents of West Rochester out Route 73 were effectively on an island due to flooding, which is important. Mitigation should be made for the site, but in future flood events, God forbid, an area like West Rochester or another area in town be completely cut off from communication. This tower with backup power supplies and what have you could mitigate a crisis disaster situation. And finally, I just find it odd that those that have access to a public utility to sit there and say to those that don't, you don't need that, is just a little odd. And anyway, but thanks to everybody of Rochester. Thanks to the commission. Gotta go.
Thanks, Justin. Aldita next, and then Jake.
Yeah, of course. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for having this meeting and for listening to everyone and our concerns regarding this. And I again reiterate, I'd like to have the town have a vote on this so that the results of that vote can go to the PUC and the appropriate parties. So that they are aware of how the community feels on this and request that vote be held in a timely manner so that all the parties can be verified. And I thank you and appreciate all your help in getting this stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Aldita.
Cool. I just want to say, we actually don't have cell service at our building, and I don't care. We're on Wi-Fi calling. Not a problem. A lot of other people are too. I used to be a person who thought the radiation wasn't a big problem. You know, I'm a science guy. It's relatively weak in general for most people. But my mind has been changed on this by testimonies and stories, and now news stories and factual accounts of it being a public health problem. that much radiation sitting at the foot of your tower, me, you know. And as we're saying, I'm not just my voice, I'm representing 12 other people who use and occupy my building all day long, who would be right under this thing. We really don't want it. I mean, I think Deb was telling me about town Pittsfield, Mass, where they've been fighting a cell tower that's had residents flee from it due to that adverse health effects. And it's all over the net. You can read about it anywhere. I just really don't want this, and I hope you guys push to figure out how to get this thing shut down. And I appreciate that people want cell service, but you know, we haven't had cell service in lots of places, and I still don't have cell service. I gotta go down to the river to get cell service if I want it. So I've lived without it the whole time and had no problem.
Donna Murray speaking again. I just want to say to the gentleman that left, if they can kind of get a sense, I do not have cell phone service. I live in West Rochester, only have cell phone service in one window, and that's why I have DC fiber and the landline and cell phones that can work outside if I want them to. And so we make do, and that we are here because we want to look at the beautiful mountains unobstructed. And we are not living in a spot for cell phone service, so we're not being selfish in any way. And I hope again that you can take into consideration and listen to everybody and realize that we don't need this and it doesn't follow the town plan.
Fine there, Deb.
Yeah, I would like to say that I have been living for over 8 years in Rochester. And I do not have any wireless anything in my house. And unfortunately, I'm still living a block away from the church and I'm not happy about it. But I'm inside my house. I'm fully equipped with no wireless. Everything's wired, no problem. I have a landline, you can get out whenever, you know. And anyway, I do have a question. So all of us saying this stuff, you know, and some of it isn't like the health effects, it's not even anywhere near the town plan. Does this matter? Is this gonna be taken to our feelings and our concerns? Is that gonna be taken into account, or does it have to be some cut and dry thing that you're like a checklist that you check off? And if it's not on that checklist, too bad. And that's a real question. I'm really wondering about that. You know, does it matter? Our feelings, our concerns, do they really matter in making a decision?
That's a good question, Dan. I can't speak for the planning commission or the board on how they will use this information, the feelings about today. I think we've got some good other information that will be pertinent and helpful for us, but I can't speak for anyone else on how we will use the sense that the deep feelings you all, not all, most of you have about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to us. I really appreciate Kara, Murray, State, Road. I just wanted to follow up also, we just bought the house. I have no cell service there unless I press my face into a window or out a door on one side of the house. It's very frustrating. We haven't gotten the landline yet. So I'm not being selfish about this, okay? I have AT&T but I don't have service there. It's very difficult. My family has a hard time getting me for emergencies or anything. So I'm looking for the greater good of all of us. And I just wanted to quickly read from the plan of a discussion earlier, and for people who don't know or haven't looked, the Rochester Town Plan specifically, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not, legally representing the town, but I think anybody who has sorry, I'm not trying to do common sense or basic understanding of language to see that it violates the town code. It says, quote, for all telecommunication facilities, the following policies shall apply. And under number 3, it's a significant area. It says all new telecommunication facilities cited and designed to avoid. And under the 3rd one, it says state or federally designated scenic byways or municipally designated scenic roads and walk viewshed. I think we'd all agree that Route 100 in the center of town is a scenic byway and a viewshed. Under number 5, it says natural resource protection. New telecommunication facilities must be sited to avoid the fragmentation of an undue adverse impact the town's working landscape. I'm sorry, I dare anyone to tell me that the mountain ridge above, Route 100 is not our working landscape. It is our working landscape. And I just wanted to say another thing. Towns like Shelburne, Massachusetts, Randolph, Massachusetts, Bedford, New Hampshire have passed laws to protect themselves. You know, I'm gonna start working really hard to have a petition to start passing a law that we can protect ourselves. We shouldn't leave this up to the PUC and see if somebody else decides whether our town plan is good enough or what they think of it. We should pass laws of what we all as people and citizens of the town believe is the best thing for our town. So I know what I'm gonna be doing, and I think it is a clear violation, and I don't think that it's right, and I hope that others will listen. And last thing I want to say is it's a mass experiment. The fact is, I believe that cell phone towers are dangerous. Some people think they're not, but the fact is none of us actually knows how dangerous because it's a new experiment with all of our brains. No generation has grown up the way ours has. When Peace Mariah is constantly trying to steal cell phones and put them to her head and look online. You know, none of us can say it's a grand experiment. And so I am extremely worried about this. And I think that all of us should be. And if we're not, then we're looking at other things and other issues or money or something. It's not going to bring more tourists to our area. If it's not for our people, it's not just tourists, who's it for?
Ben, and then Lori.
Comment, safety, again, there's.
I had a great conversation with a dear neighbor of mine who we are very in disagreement on this topic. And but we still had a great discussion, and I think it reminded me that a lot of people don't realize you can get Wi-Fi calling. Most, as was brought up, if you have a EC fiber, which we were lucky to get almost 10 years, we've had EC fiber optic internet, one of the fastest, and we've had it for some of the longest in the state. Most phones can do everything on their Wi-Fi access, and that's the line below the power line, which usually stays up in bad weather and in storms and even in floods, and is actually more robust and resilient in longer term power outages because it's low voltage, it's very low power. The diesel storage and the battery storage are limited at these tower facilities. They also represent a hazard, especially the diesel storage, putting diesel at the top of watersheds in facilities that ultimately eventually will leak is problematic in itself. But they're also not long-term power generation. So the gentleman from West Rochester, maybe his name is Jeff, I think, brought up a very real safety issue, and my work overlaps with emergency management quite a bit with land planning. And it's worth mentioning that from a safety standpoint, we should all know that you could do Wi-Fi calling, you can extend your Wi-Fi around your property, you can have connectivity over broad areas on your site through Cat5 cable and multiple routers, which are like $25 for the old, just 2.4 routers. And Cat5 cable is almost free, or you can do Wi-Fi extenders. And it's a key emergency management and safety piece, and arguably a lot better and more resilient and more robust than depending on mountaintop infrastructure, which is actually inherently quite vulnerable in emergencies compared to the lines below the power lines that tend to stay on in storms. Also, the one other thing I wanted to mention, because this is can feel really divisive, and I've worked with Charlie directly for a number of years. He's been a gem of a guy. And I say everything I say here, not being against anyone. I agree with my wife that it's just not fair way that this goes, that this process is working, to have a situation where no one asked for this, but we're prospected by large corporations that never paid a dime of tax here, don't have any stake here. And then that divides towns. I mean, it's as old as anything, right? It's a classic story. And I just wanna, make sure to mention that this is not being about against anyone here, at least for me personally. An amazing community, amazing town. Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna go to the Zoom once and then Laura will come to.
Brian, you're on.
Thanks. Just a quick clarification. Route 100 is a state designated scenic byway. It's been said a couple of times as if people didn't know that. Yes, it is a state designated scenic byway.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sure.
Hello again. Want to have a couple of rebuttals on some things. I noticed that the lone supporter, 21-1 is by my count, by the way. The lone supporter was mentioning a couple of things. We're also in West Rochester. We actually do have coverage. How'd we get so lucky? I don't know, but we definitely use EC fiber. I also travel a lot for work. I used to think that my cell phone was surgically grafted to me. I have since turned that off. I hard forwarded it to my landline. We are wired also, just like Deb. Everything is Ethernet cable. We're hardwired into everything. So it is possible to still be connected without a cell phone tower. The two things I really want to mention though, the town has been given substantial deference. This is a legal term that gives us a monster dog in a fight. We have a Great Dane. She's 150 pounds. She feels like she's a lap dog, but a 150-pound dog against a Chihuahua, Maxie could sit on her. This is kind of what substantial deference is. We are given a big dog in this fight and we need to use it. That's the select board, that's the planning commission. Please use your substantial deference. Use our town plan. The PUC process, by the way, we don't have to wait until it's filed. We can comment now. We can upload comments now. We can upload questions now. That's part of our voice. Please use that voice. The rest of us, I said from the beginning, opinions don't matter. They're kind of like butts. We all have them and some of them stink. It doesn't matter. Our town plan does. Our regional plan does. Let's use that voice. So we rely on the select board and the planning commission to be our voice. And when you look through the town plan, it's pretty cut and dry. Your question back there in the back. You already mentioned about the site. A significant area, the state byway. We have teeth in this fight. We need to use it. And again, to go back to being a nerd, if you're what's her name? Stand by your man. We need to stand by our plan. We either have a plan or we need to toss it out the window. Have a book burning contest and just all bring a bunch of matches because we either have a town plan that works for us or it's useless. Please stand by our plan.
Good, yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dune Hendricks. I came late to the meeting, so I didn't get to hear everything that was shared earlier. So I'll just share my feelings. I'm no longer on the select board, but if I were, I would probably be strongly against encouraging the development of this tower up there. My kitchen window looks straight at the church tower. And so I'm very aware of that. I'm looking right at a cell tower every morning when I'm making breakfast and every evening when I'm making dinner. And I don't enjoy that, but it's visually, I can forget about it. And it does the job of serving the town and the little area with self-service. I'm not sure that I'm convinced that this new tower is gonna be a substantial increase in coverage and be a little bit redundant, even though it's a different carrier. I also am cautious of outside forces pushing money and their plans on what could very well be a sunsetting soon to be obsolete technology. So I don't think we need to like permanently damage our landscape for someone else's vision.
Russ? Doing a heck of a job, Dave. You're really getting around.
Don't need a cane yet.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's me, Russ. And, I wanted to just point out a couple quick things. First, actually, if this was sort of like the state of Massachusetts, which, sometimes my wife and we work, with, voting technology where we use the, clickers and the state of Mass, they have, town meetings for all kinds of things and special meetings. And I'm sure something like this of interest in a small town would warrant a special meeting. So, we're not in one of those meetings, but I would like to second the lady in front of me and, go with, I would love to have a meeting and have a vote, even if it's a non-consequential vote, but it could be passed along to PUC. And I think they could get an idea on what the actual citizens of this town, and certainly the citizens of this town show up, what they're wanting to do here, what their opinions are. The other thing is, I don't know if anyone has ever messed around with OTA over the airway TV signals, HT signals. I was kind of a nerd with that. So I've experimented. The place I'm from is 36 miles from Boston, so I've done a lot of experimenting pulling in Boston TV stations, but part of the FCC, where if you are broadcasting on any of the any of the paid broadcasters, you have to do a free over the air forever. So that's a thing. But anyway, so I've actually hand built numerous antennas, and I've done a lot of research and things like that. And the best antenna for receiving something like that is called a fractal antenna. And lo and behold, that's exactly what all the cell phones, if you actually took apart a cell phone, it has a wide fan and it looks sort of like a snowflake. So the idea is you're trying to get as many little things spread out instead of a disc or something. You have all these different patterns that go out. And I'm mentioning this because we just worked with somebody who brought up there's different words like cell phone booster, repeater. So what you can do, anyone can do, is they're $100, you can buy a larger fractal antenna, and it can be, I'm making a motion of like 15 inches, 2 feet, it can be about that size. You can go bigger, and it's sort of like ears, parabolic ears, so to speak, and it receives the signal, and then you can boost it, say within your home, within your property, and that's something anybody could do. Anyone can do that, and if it was a safety issue, or that just seems to me like it would be more of a logical way to amplify a signal. So if there are people like in West Rochester or other people in town that have a weak signal, that's one way you can increase your signal without having to have an antenna up a hill, with a competitor or whatever. And the other thing I'd also just like to say again, which a few people have mentioned, I'm not sure why it's not a thing. It doesn't sound like it's a thing to co-locate where the other AT&T tower is. Like I'm not exactly sure why we would put it up on the scenic byway, up on a ridge. That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, those are my comments. Thanks.
So, Allison D, and would you state your full name, please?
Oh, yes. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It's Allison Descaffi, and I'm on the board of Vermonters for a Clean Environment. And I just wanted to clarify something Brian said about the public hearing and the public comment, if I could add that in.
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to say the public comment is 30 days at this point, but I did want to make sure people knew that with telecom, there is no public hearing. There's actually an evidentiary hearing after discovery and pre-filed testimony, and that's where there's cross-examination, but it's different what people think of as a public hearing. So with telecom, you can only do public comments in writing at the PUC. So just wanted to make sure people were aware if it gets to that point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Allison. Yeah, sorry. It used to be 21 days, but it's 30 now.
Yes, they just changed that, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you. I should have clarified. It's not a public hearing. Yeah, it's an evidentiary hearing.
Right. Thanks.
Misspoke. Sorry about that.
Come back to you. Anyone else? Alina.
Thank you. This has to do with the work on the road that they're proposing. It's very steep grade, and thank you for the info regarding the current use program. I'm very concerned that it's crossing a wetland. And that they plan on putting cement trucks on this road. And going up through around Hilda's Corner and up across that ledge there. And then up around a couple other places. It seems inconceivable to me that they're gonna put heavy equipment up through there. And to do their building, and they're going to be cutting down the number of trees that are proposed. I'm sure some of you have snow machined up there, maybe not, but if you have, you definitely know what I'm talking about. And that's my concern about the erosion on this road and the degradation that would happen and be concerned for the wildlife in that area. Thank you.
We have about 6 minutes left from our 8:30 time. So I have Don and Tara, so how about if you two split the time we have remaining?
Hi, I just a quick comment. So it sounds to me as if the PUC can make a decision about our town without even hearing from us at a public meeting, which is pretty shocking. And then I had a question for Julie, our wonderful town clerk. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
What is the process? And I should know myself, so I apologize, but I just want everybody to hear it. To request a special town meeting, people, Alvina's talking about it. A vote, like a special town meeting to vote, give an opinion, maybe it's not binding currently, or to propose new law regarding cell phone towers. What would be the, is there any kind of a special town meeting with maybe a certain amount of signatures? Sorry, but I should know this.
Petition, yeah. They'd have to submit a petition.
Petition, okay. Okay. How many signatures are required? You know, the time frame of when the meeting would help?
50 signatures, and it would go to the board to decide.
Thank you.
Really, did you say 50
Yeah,
signatures?
Yes.
Is there a certain amount of time to be held within?
It's 5% of the vote. It's 5% of the voters.
Okay. Does the meeting have to be held within like 60 or 30 days, or is there any kind of time frame for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I could get back to you on that.
Thank you.
We go to Don and then Mary.
Just a big comment, talking of utilities we got, so we don't have cell phone service in our house. I had to go to a corner of the house and put the phone in the corner of the window. To be able to use it, but fortunately, we have easy fiber, so we have cell phone service everywhere in our house. And it's only because we use the fiber. But there is a question I have is, if looking at this town plan, it's talked about scenic byways and wildlife and habitat for rare and endangered. But there's no mention about, the, electromagnetic radiation from that. And what that effect is, and this is obviously the town plan was probably written up before there was even a concern about that. I don't know, when was the town plan created?
This is 2020, I think.
Oh, okay, well, there's the word cell phone towers and cell phones, but not much information about the effects of cell phones and cell phone towers. But how can we add that in to being a factor in this case?
I don't know, and I don't know that we are able to do that. We've been told that, the health impacts are not a criteria that we can use or that the PUC uses. If anyone has more information on that, they can share it. Mary, what did you have?
Yeah, I'm your exit. That's what I'm here for. So hi, everybody. My name's Mary Virginia. I'm a member of the planning commission. So I just wanted to encourage people to grab one of our 2-pagers on your way out. What's included on there is a summary and a timeline of every meeting that we've had where this Austin cell phone tower has come up. It includes a couple of links to the town website where all of the material is available for you to download. That includes the most recent application, the public guide to the section 248A permitting process, the Rochester town plan, and probably about a dozen other documents. And they also live in our pretty little binder, which is at the town clerk's office. It's at the town clerk's office if you don't want to be downloading the documents for yourself. Julie and Kristen keep it there for anybody to look at. And then we never got anybody from DPS on Zoom, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry?
Did we ever get anybody from DPS on Zoom?
We did not.
Well, then I will hold my other question, but I just wanted to thank everybody for coming and encourage you to peruse the materials that we've made available to you.
Selectboard, have any you want to share?
Just that this.
Pat Harvey, Select Board Chair. This meeting will be placed on Orca Media within about 2 or 3 days. So, if you want to review it, or you have other people that want to review it, I did ask Orca to get it up as soon as possible. And, that way people can review it, tell your friends, family, and, the people that weren't able to attend today, because they're putting their children down. So,
Yes. All right, thank you, Pat. Well, yeah, echo Mary's gratitude for you all coming out today, sharing your thoughts, your emotions. We appreciate it, and we're listening. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. Any other parting shots from the planning commission? Parting shots along the way. So there you go. Thank you all for attending.